Hello and welcome to the show. The BMW M1 Pro car is a really rather interesting vehicle, and a car that I hadn't really heard of until Project Gotham Racing, and as soon as I drove it, I very much liked it. It's a very unique in some ways sort of piece of motorsport history. It was not built to run in a certain class, it was not built to fit certain regulations, it was, if anything, built to sort of promote the new BMW M1, and this pro car racing version was used in a number of Formula 1 race weekends. This one make series became one of the support races for the Formula 1, and various Formula 1 drivers took part in those particular races. There was at one point plans for a pro car style championship to be formed, Alfa Romeo making the 164 pro car. That is an absolutely bonkers and mad contraption. Again, I love it. I wish it would appear in games somewhere, because it is absolutely incredible. I mean, there's very little Alfa Romeo left in it. I think the engine came pretty much from a Formula 1 car. There are 3 bits of bodywork. There's a front, a middle, and a back. It's a full-on lunatic silhouette car. There was supposedly rumours of other manufacturers being interested, but it never really took off, and I would imagine it would be horrendously expensive, but it's still a cool car that exists. And yeah, the BMW is also a very, very interesting vehicle. What might it, though, be like if we were to have a modern version of this? To be fair, in real-life counterparts, probably the closest would be something like the Zonda R, built for no real restrictions, just built to go fast. But what if we were to have a one-make race series with something rather unusual? Something like the Bugatti Chiron. Now, we can't strip the car down to the bare frame. We can't make the full-on silhouette cars. However, we can try and turn this beast into something a little bit more manageable. I say a little bit more manageable. It's still running near enough 1,500 horsepower through all of the wheels. That is a lot of power. It's got nearly 1,200 torque, and while it's been lightened, it's still 3,100 pounds. It is quite a bit different to the Pro car in many ways. However, it is still quite the monster, because underneath it all, it's still going to be a 250 plus mile an hour hypercar that we were going to go racing with. The circuit of choice would be Silverstone. Now, we did try these cars at a few other venues. The Chiron is not an easy car to drive. It is not an easy car to drive at all. And of the tracks that we visited and that we tested it around, Silverstone was actually the most fun to take the vehicle around. We would have a qualifying session first to, sort out a grid, followed by a decent-ish length race. What are the actual concerns with the car? Tyre wear. It's not running on, of course, race tyres. The tyres actually get quite grumpy on this car. As you can imagine, they have an awful lot of work to do in terms of moving, just getting the car around the circuit. As you can imagine, off the line, the Bugattis certainly do shift. There is always going to be plenty of busyness through these first few corners here at Silverstone, and here we see the introduction of the Chiron line through a corner, basically wildly understeering across some grass somewhere, but just about managing to gather it all back up again. There was plenty of that going on all over the place. I think most of us understeered off the circuit at some point during the race, just getting caught out. Caught out, the grip's not bad in the car, you just get caught out by the unbelievable speed of the car. I'm fairly sure we're up to about 220 miles an hour down the back straight. It's unbelievably fast when it gets going. You then got to try and rein it all in when it comes to the corners. The Gulf liveried Chiron on the outside gets stuck 3 wide in these very large and very heavy Bugattis. The blue car doing an excellent job of managing to squeeze up a couple of positions. There was a little bit of a contact between a couple of vehicles. That's I'm not sure on understeer that caused the issue, but it was sure on understeer around the old turn 1 there, as the blue and yellow car continues to fight up towards Maggers and Beckett. You can see them wiggling around as somebody else goes for a Chiron line across the grass. Yeah, also, if you put a wheel on the grass, you are in a lot of trouble with this car. It will be dragged off the circuit, and, well, that will be that. I'm never very good at qualifying. It seems when we do these sorts of races, I have very little luck in qualifying. I started right down towards the back of the field, but come the race, I'd had a good start, and I'm continuing to make progress. The black and orange car was out wide. I spotted an opportunity to sneak up the inside, trying to get the braking right in these early laps. With cold tyres and everybody a little inexperienced, you try to find what you can and can't get away with doing. In the end, the black and orange car, I thought he was going to hold me around the outside to be on the inside for this next long corner. In the end, just asked a little bit too much. I mean, the brakes on this car are unbelievably powerful, do not get me wrong, but they've got a lot of work to do. Got an awful lot of work to do. I mean, you can see how stupidly quick the Chiron is. The replay cameras have some difficulty keeping up with this car when it really starts shifting around these straights. Now, the leader was running away. The leader was long gone. You can just about see him in the distance because this was the fight for second place. The gold Bugatti against a white and red Bugatti, with the blue car coming to join in the fun, and this was going to get bigger as well as the race went on. And of course, as soon as you start fighting like this in a one-make race, the cars running around in clean air are going to have a nice easy time pulling away from the pack. It's a lovely dive from the gold car to briefly get up into second place, but he can't hold it. On the exit is a little bit too wide. I think there might have been a touch through there somewhere, either that or sudden surprise oversteer from the Bugatti. Now the blue and yellow car is coming to join in the fun, trying to go around the outside of turn one. The gold car does actually hold it around the outside of that first corner. A very good manoeuvre. However, the white car is having a big look up the inside, gets the move done almost immediately back again. Now, it is a very long way around, heading on to this first straight on that outside line. The gold car cannot quite make that one work. Two Bugattis, blue Bugattis behind, were continuing to fight. I was behind that group fighting with the black and orange car. There was a lot going on in these opening laps. They're side by side for that fourth and fifth place, while second and third are still nose to tail. In fact, the gold car is a little bit wide. The blue Bugatti's having a look up the inside, cannot quite make that one work. And of course, the more this group fights, if me and the black car could sort ourselves out, we would be able to bring ourselves up to this group with relative ease. They're all still nose to tail. And remember, this is in 1,500 horsepower Bugattis, and while built and tuned to be a bit more suited to the circuit, these are not full stripped out race cars. They are not easy to drive at all through these corners. They're side by side all the way through Maggers and Beckers. Eventually, the white car has to have a lift, just cannot continue to hold that one down there. And the gold car would move up into a second place. And in fact, having to have that lift being out of position made the white car pretty damn slow, actually, coming down that back straight. The Golf liveried car had actually qualified pretty well, but got stuck on the outside of some early manoeuvres, ended up falling back, and that would fall into the... Well, this was the battle for kind of not last at this stage of the race, but it still... Wherever you were on the track, it didn't matter. There was plenty of action going on. The blue car had actually got a mega run with everybody sort of sliding to try and avoid one another. They all kind of spat out the other side of things, with the silver and orange car coming out the best of all of that one. Yeah, it was manic. It was manic for everybody but the leader, actually. In these opening laps, the leader kind of just extended the gap. The more that we all fought for second place, the further we fell back. In terms of lap times, it was pretty close between the fastest cars. I didn't quite have the ultimate pace to keep up with the very, very front runners, but between a bunch of them, in terms of actual lap times, they were all very close. But the leader was able to just stretch that gap in these first few laps that was all so very, very important. And, well, this is what was going on for second. You know, fighting like this back here for second place is, yeah, going to slow the cars down as they continued Now, it was kind of a slight strange battles that we had going on, as there's a big dive from the blue Bugatti. Cannot quite pull that one up in time. It was a good effort. It was a good effort at a pass, but couldn't quite make it work. The white and red car's actually now got a very fast run down towards these final corners. Unfortunately for him, in trying to make up some time, well, that would be a tyre bundle. And that would spit him all the way down the order. Manages to just about get going again, ahead of the black and orange car. Tyre bundles are dangerous, and this is something, not just tyre bundles, but little mistakes. Little mistakes are something that would kind of creep in. Battles would stay close together, but it would kind of be a case of who made the littlest of errors, who made the less, let's say, track exploring, but yeah, a lot of it came down to just not making mistakes, because it was very difficult to overtake with these cars. It was very difficult indeed to overtake, as we see more of the Chiron line onto the first straight. I was not quite as wide as the car ahead of me, but I was a little bit wide through all of that one. You would spend a lot of the, well, I say a lot of the race, you could spend a fair bit of time, you know, sort of sat following the car ahead, and then maybe you'd make a little bit of a mistake, you'd drop back, the car ahead would then make a little bit of a mistake, and you'd catch back up again. There would be a fair bit of kind of just sat around looking for a way past, but yeah, it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy at all with these cars. At the back of the field, well, these two continued to fight. And again, this would be a pretty much race-long battle for position between the white and blue Chiron as we head through these first corners. The white car doing their best to try and defend. It is trying to find a place, trying to find a gap. Again, it's always difficult when you are an identical cars, but when the cars are as fast as this and the margin for error's so very tiny and everybody's a little bit wary of the brakes, you know, your overtaking is going to happen under braking. And when you're all a little bit scared of what might happen under braking, that makes those passes just that little bit more difficult. The blue car not able here to look for a way past. It's just got to sit and follow through these next couple of corners. Yeah, your best bet is in the couple of large braking zones. Of course, you've got equal amounts of grip when it comes to these turns. And as the race progressed, everybody would remain pretty close. There would remain plenty of vehicles close to one another, but after the manic opening few laps, it would kind of descend into a little bit, well, kind of a little bit of follow the leader. It wasn't quite like that. It was that everybody would just make that little mistake and drop back from the car they were trying to get past, or slightly catch, but not quite catch enough. There was a car behind this blue and yellow car. Between that and me, there was another car as well, and unfortunately, the replay wouldn't show here. My replay is the only one that has 11 out of the 12 cars. Other replays had, I think one person's replay had 2 cars show up on it. So the replay was being a little bit funny with one of the vehicles. It was a little bit closer in the midfield. As we came towards the end of the race, in fact, the closest fight was going on further down. The Golf car was actually now starting to come under threat from a purple Chiron. Now, this car, I think we saw it escape off the circuit with some big understeer on the opening lap, but was trying to recover himself back up the field. Has a big go up the inside into that third corner. It is a good pass, actually, a very good pass to get the move done into the third corner. However, you just can't hold it through the next turn. They're going to go side by side down the back straight. There's some more of the Chiron line for the purple car. Just can't hold it. There's just not the grip in the car to make it. It's bravery going too wide there, but thankfully there is plenty of space if you do get a whole armful of understeer through there. And now it's going to go, that's a long way to go in identical cars. The purple vehicle not able to make that one stick, although if you can now cut back to the inside, you'll get the preferred line. They are door to door with the silver and orange car off the side. The purple car lifts off and lets it back on. It's some of these faster corners, trying to fit 2 cars wide through them is not so easy, especially if you haven't been too wide at any other point through the lap, through the race. You might not know quite how much space, how much of a lift you're going to have to do through all of that one. But yeah, it was a valiant effort from the purple car. It was a valiant effort indeed in terms of trying to find a way past, just not quite able to pull that one off as the blue car very, very nearly finds himself in a tyre bundle heading down. There was a lot of close calls. There was a lot of close calls with understeer in places back towards the front of the race, and it was, I mean, there's not much to say for the for the leader. Drove consistently, made no mistakes, pulled a huge gap early on, able to have, it's a fairly boring race. Fairly boring race indeed for the leader. Started on pole and, well, ran away from the rest of us. A solid victory most definitely, but yeah, when you have such a huge battle for second place going on for 2 or 3 laps, that's yeah, that's going to slow that whole group down. It backed up just the entire pack up, and the leader able to make the most of that. Second, third, and fourth would remain relatively close until the end. As I said, in these closing laps, this gap kind of just remained identical between these cars. I made a mistake and fell back from this group, but yeah, this group kind of all remained very close, but not close enough to really have a go. On the very final lap, the gold car was a little slow, a little wide at the end of the hangar straight, which gave the blue vehicle a sniff, a slight opportunity coming in towards this final chicane. Again, the gold car playing it a little bit safe, just making sure he doesn't make any mistakes through these final corners. The blue vehicle is caught up to the back of him, but there's just not going to be any room. There's a very, very sideways blue and yellow car in the background, and I think there was me coming around the final corner as well to finish. The Chiron's made for an interesting prospect. I'll be honest, these cars are up in P-Class. They're monstrous vehicles. And while, yep, they were designed for racing, the builder, and thank you to arandomdemon for putting these cars together for us, didn't go for the full kind of race aero and whatnot for the car, wanting to keep it looking like a normal Chiron. They weren't easy to drive. They were not easy to drive at all. They are, yeah, monstrously fast. However, we had so much closer racing than I was kind of expecting. I thought it was going to develop like often these sort of races do, with kind of 2s and 3s of cars racing, and sometimes you get stuck in the middle of no man's land. We had nearly a 6-7 car train for second place at one point. Okay, towards the end of the race, as mistakes crept in and as the field got a little bit more spread out, yeah, okay, towards the end it was as I had expected it. I did not expect a 1500 horsepower hypercar to produce such an amazing start to that race. Yeah, it was about a 3-lap battle for second place, in which any number of 5 or 6 cars could have potentially come out with it had things gone a certain way. It was good fun. It was good fun indeed. Yeah, not at all the easiest cars, not the most cooperative cars to go racing with, but certainly made for a spectacle. That, though, is going to be it for this video. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.